Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm really delighted with the opportunity to introduce Larry this evening, but I know most of you know something about Larry already. I mean, he is a kind of one-man Portland institution, the founder of the Community of Writers, the founder of the Wordstock Literary Festival, the recipient just recently of the Stuart Holbrook Literary Legacy Award. And so his devotion to writing and support of the writing community in Portland is really well known. I mean, from organizing programs for grammar school children, getting their first taste of how to organize their thoughts about the world, to advice for aspiring writers, people like Storm Large or Kent Hartman, to mention two writers who were recently honored at the Oregon Book Awards, who turned to Larry for advice when they were starting their own writing projects. But I've known Larry since long before he published anything, back to when he was an enthusiastic and only slightly cynical high school teacher at Adams High, still recovering from the psychic blow of not having stuck in the big leagues, where his baseball talents had long predicted he would go. I mean, what other winner of the Holbrook Award has or ever will have a baseball card? What Larry has made, though, incredibly effective use of his 2 innings in the big leagues, inspiration as rich in its own way to him as Proust Madeline. Larry's first book, Idle Time, was about the Portland Trailblazers and looked for a while like it was going to be a one-off. Between its publication in 1978 and the next book, Larry worked at Nike and wrote hundreds of magazine articles. Then he published Goat Brothers in 1992 to great fanfare. It was a main selection of the Book of the Month Club when that mattered, and it established Larry's reputation above all as an accomplished storyteller with a gift for juggling narratives about multiple characters that had only been hinted at in Idle Time. There was an 8-year wait again then for the next book, Counting Coup, a really remarkable feat of reporting that had even a seasoned journalist like Richard Ben Kramer marveling at Larry's ability to get the players on a girls' basketball team in Montana, some white, some from the Crow Reservation, to share their hopes, fears, and aspirations. Larry's account of their quest for a state basketball championship was intimate, detailed, and convincing, and was awarded the first ever ebook award for Book of the Year at the Frankfurt Book Fair. Raising his 2 daughters as a single dad certainly contributed to Larry's understanding of the bruises of teenage angst. The hiatus between Counting Coup and Larry's 4th book, No Ordinary Joes, was another decade, in part because he was working full-time running Cow, getting Wordstock up and running, but also because he was struggling over how to tell the remarkable story of a group of American sailors captured by the Japanese in World War II who were forced to spend years in slave labor camps. Getting the balance right between their backstories and the horrors of camp life was a really great challenge, but Larry, I think, really nailed it. Once again, he was able to weave the intimate details of his characters' personal lives into the larger narrative of the Depression in World War II. Now, No Ordinary Joes had the misfortune to be published at the same time as Laura Hillenbrand's Unbroken, which was a similar tale, if not an identical tale, I think told with less nuance and subtlety. But it got all the recognition that I think No Ordinary Joes really deserved. Now, with his second book in a mere 2 years, at an age when most writers are starting to put down the pen, Larry's suddenly prolific. He's like the Philip Roth of creative nonfiction. Larry has put what he learned about the psychology of the dugout during his baseball career to excellent use in his new book, Southern League. I know he's got ideas for more books brewing, but in the meanwhile, let's listen as Larry shares Southern League, a book that examines the 1964 Birmingham Barons season as Alabama's first racially integrated professional sports team, a pennant race that played out in the context of the struggles to toss off the yoke of Jim Crow. So welcome, Larry Colton.
in one way, this is a very dark day for American literature. When I have been used as comparison with Proust and Philip Roth, something's wrong, but I'm going to keep going. Also, he said that I was an institution. I'm going to put that on my W-2 form next time. You know, if I am an institution, it's not a well-paying job. And he mentioned that my book came out the same day that Laurel Hildebrand's Unbroken came out. And really, I think the major difference between the two books is about $10 million. But I'm not bitter. Not at all. And he said that I helped young students organize their thoughts. This afternoon I sat down and I took some notes about what I might say today. Those notes are sitting on my desk at home. So if I tend to stutter and stammer, well, at any rate, I thought I had the good fortune last week of speaking at the Jimmy Carter Library in Atlanta, which I thought was a pretty big deal. And so a woman there asked me, why is it or how is it that a guy from Portland, Oregon comes to write a book about Birmingham, Alabama? So I gave it some thought. And there's sort of a backstory here, how I got to write, why I wrote this book. And it starts back in 1963. In 1963, I was a student at the University of California, and I was a jock and a frat boy. So I was kind of a nightmare. And but one day, we were sitting around watching TV, and certainly I was not into civil rights at all. There was no blacks at my high school. At the University of California at Berkeley, the liberal bastion, there was less than 1% of the student population was black, and there was none on the baseball team when I was there. So, but in the spring of '63, we were sitting in the TV room, and on came Walter Cronkite, and he showed pictures of Birmingham, Alabama, and the horror that was going on in Birmingham, and the attack of the Birmingham police on the young nonviolent demonstrators there. And there was something in me that just said, this is not, something's wrong with this. This is not right. And so it stuck with me. So the next semester, I took a class, and the only thing we had to do in that class was write a term paper. And I ended up, I wasn't a very good student, but I wrote a paper that was 60 pages long. And I did it on the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And so I really got into the whole civil rights thing by writing this paper. I thought it was like way better than anything I'd ever done, which didn't really say much, but I turned it in fully expecting to get an A. I got a B on the damn paper. The next semester, the same course was offered, but it had a different professor, and about a week before the paper was due in that course, a young woman, her name was Bonnie, and she was a Santa Barbara blonde, and I had kind of been eyeing her for quite some time. And she said, I don't have the paper, I didn't do anything. How would you feel about giving me your paper? And I thought, this is my chance. So this was back in the days before computer, and the professor had written on other sheets of paper and inserted them into the thing, so it was pristine copy, so I just retyped the title page in her name. She took it, she turned it in, word for word, the same paper I did,